All right, getting the last final details in, and I will tweet this out.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Looks like we are up and running. Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, Brent, Koala Koa. I am celebrating the evening with a Foster's Australian for that's not the beer we drink, but whatever, I still like it.
Wow. Australia.
Koala, it's actually in stock right now. It wasn't that it was out of stock today, it's that we were waiting to kind of do a launch together and everything. So, yeah, if you're looking to purchase this, it is in stock and ready to go right now. Hey, Pask, Marcello, how's it going? So, let's take a look at this absolutely beautiful, beautiful case and what we have here. Now, Artemio, did you say this is slightly different than the one at Stone Age Gamer? I know you sent me to this one a while back just to make sure that I had it for the stream.
Yeah. This one, the one that you have and the one that I have are fairly slightly different because the Stone Age Gamer, who's publishing the physical version of the suite for Neo Geo, it's basically the same, just has their own cases because they have their own. The measurement's slightly different, and obviously that one says published by Stone Age Gamer. Okay.
Right.
Aside from that, it's basically the same that you have. And the cases, they have different colors for the shells of the cards, right?
Okay.
You do have a production one. I don't. Yours has the same label that will be available in the from Stone Age Gamer that has the serial number and everything. Mine doesn't. But that's basically the difference.
Huh. So, I mean, you know, at its heart, the 240p test suite is the most important tool in my toolbox by far, but that doesn't mean it can't look sexy too. This looks great. And let's pop this thing open. And I will take out the cartridge. Let me, oh, it's a two-handed job. It's a nice snug fit. There we go. So
yeah, that's it. It has all the design and illustration from Pepe. We commissioned it. It also has a small card, the retail one. If we want to distinct them, has a small card that has some notes, a QR code, and a thank you note, of course. That one has a serial, that's production, and the card is just like that.
So just to be clear for everybody, every single piece of this is brand new. So you're not cannibalizing Neo Geo carts. You're not borrowing from something else. The PCBs are new. The plastic enclosures are new. And obviously, I mean, the cases were brand new and made. So that's correct, right?
Yeah, everything is new, and the PCB is custom designed for this. I have a prototype here. That's why this one's green, and also it doesn't have gold. But this is the PCB. It's custom designed for this. Okay. And you can use it with AES, and it will change if you use one of those converters, like this one from Fortec or any other that you have. You can use it in AES systems, and it will automatically switch to an AES mode or whatever you have set in your BIOS. So yeah.
Okay. Well, to test this thing out, I will check the chat in a moment as well, but we have something kind of fun and unique. We have a consoleized MVS that Phone Dork had sent me. And just absolutely awesome of them to send this over. It's really cool. I'm really looking forward to testing it out. But this is just the perfect combination because now we have a dedicated test cart. And while I did have dedicated carts before, it was, excuse me, it was using Art of Fighting 2, actually, to be exact. And that was, you know, cannibalizing, excuse me, cannibalizing a game, and it wasn't the 240p suite. I had the HD Retrovision test pattern, and then I had another one, so it's really cool that we get to test this out. I'm also just remembering that I forgot to grab a controller, so I'm going to do that now, and I'm also going to check the chat and see what we got while we're going through here.
Let's see what they say. To beat should be a work competition.
Cheers from down under. Foster's G not even heard of these days. Yeah, I know. All my Aussie friends make fun of me for drinking this, but listen, if you go to a store and you have a choice between really crappy American beer and really crappy American beer that's disguised as Australian beer, this one's actually better. So it's you know, some of the least worst. Marcello, 240 test suite entry on how long to beat should have a infinite hours to completion. That is very funny and very true. Something you always use. All right, let's.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm really happy, and there's a lot of people that was involved in the creation of this. Of course, you, Stone Age Gamers, who's publishing, Harris, who designed the card and built them by hand. I helped assemble, but he built them. And also, of course, Dustin, who started coding it just right after RetroCreate, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that have worked. Keith, who does the monoscope pattern, and we also have El Diablo, who lent me a flashcard, and of course, Mobius Triptych, and Jose Cruz, who got me an MVS card for development, because, you know, we had to test this on every variation of the hardware, and we were just jumping between revisions, MVS, AES, different BIOS editions, UniBIOS, the regular BIOS, 2 slots, 4 slots, 1 slots, 1B, 1C, 1F, and of course Neo Geo CD as well. So we had to make sure that it worked on every variation, and to account for any of the differences between them, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me. I think I'm coming in a little hot. Let me turn my mic down a little bit. Okay. So one small detail that is always helpful is a little arrow, because for I don't know anything about this consoleized MVS, but this has the arrow as well, and that's kind of important because a lot of the consoleizations, sometimes they use different style cases, especially the ones that use the MV1B. So you might actually have to have it flipped. So good on you remembering that. Now,
yeah, also the PCA has it marked, so these are translucent, so you can see through it, and it also has the mark in the case. In the PCB.
Yeah, right here. You you can see it through the vents right there. Nice.
Yeah.
So this right here, I would like to show off the test suite, but one of the main reasons that you would use it is to make sure that the device that you're using is actually safe to plug in to your scalers. So while it's going to be kind of ugly for the first couple of minutes, I'm just going to focus my camera up on the oscilloscope and the RGB monitor that this thing is plugged into. Also, speaking of Jose, he took a whatever, this piece of crap controller, and direct wired it for arcade machines, Super Guns, and Neo Geo. So this is, while a terrible quality controller, it is essentially like plugging an arcade stick in, or like a real Neo Geo controller. So that's going to be pretty cool. Well, okay, let me raise this up here. Get you kind of focused. All right, so we have the oscilloscope, and we have the test suite kind of in view. So, I have the colors wrong on this? That's very odd. There's something loose in the back? Well, I guess that's the very first thing we're going to be checking. I love the insert coin. That is very funny. So, all right,
Yeah,
test
yeah.
patterns.
It depends obviously in which BIOS is being used, and you can disable that if you want to. You can go into the service menu for the Neo Geo and disable all warnings and this kind of thing like the insert coins. That's customizable inside. So there you go.
So
So no red
it's possible because red is blue. There's no blue and green. So if I
Mhm.
have this red, green, blue,
Flipped.
I believe I have this plugged in correctly. So maybe it's cable. Phone Dork sent two cables with it. So maybe one was wired incorrectly. So let's swap the cable out. But this is, I
Yeah,
mean, this
better
is
to make sure.
exactly why you want a test cart and a test monitor because these PVMs are built like tanks. So it's you're not going to blow something out, unless it's you're not going to blow out something like this that you're going to buy. You could obviously always hook the wrong thing up and destroy your equipment, but having this test suite to make sure that this is all okay is very important.
Hmm.
Oop.
Yeah, you never know how it's coming. So or whatever in the chain could be wrong, right? Because something could be just unplugged. Cable could be just like torn, or you bent it the wrong way and it got
Yeah,
damaged, right?
absolutely. So um, try this thing. Okay. So I don't know what this cable was for then, but obviously not this. So I could put this one
Okay.
aside, and in fact, let me put this way over here, so I don't use that by mistake at a different time.
Okay.
So we have color bars, and I think we're just going to EBU color bars. So these are 100%, correct?
Yeah, they should tell you the first. Right now, I've switched that several times, but in this scenario, yes, they are 100. They go up to 100%, and you have the Neo Geo has two different versions. Yeah, there you go. Those are the EBU, and the default is 100%, and you can switch down to 75%.
Oh, wow, that is absolutely hilarious. I was wondering why I wasn't getting a reading on my scope, and that's because it's plugged directly into the monitor.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
jumping it.
it happens. All right, so
Yeah.
I always really like mistakes like that because they don't actually mean anything's broken.
No, and it's maybe it's not something that people consider, but that's a lot of things to do when you're live streaming this kind of thing. So many things can go wrong if you don't have a fixed setup. And obviously, you do have a fixed general setup, but you have to change every single time that you have to show something slightly different, right?
Yeah, yeah, very true. All right, are we, strangely enough, having a hard time getting this thing. I don't know where my trigger's going. I'm gonna reboot this scope because sometimes that happens.
Yeah. Hey,
Hey, Real
Claxer.
Phoenix, how's it going?
Yeah.
What's up, Claxer? Phone?
One thing that I like better in analog scopes is they didn't need to boot.
Yeah.
That's kind of the only thing that I like better from them. But well, the CRTs are really nice.
Yeah. Yes, they certainly are. So
Yeah,
let me
but
make
that's
sure.
those are the only things.
All right, so we're still getting a signal. Let me connect this. Still plugged in. There we go.
There you are.
Don't you, on most scopes, can't you just tap the button to center the trigger?
Yeah, usually, yes.
Odd. Oh, here it goes. Okay, it took a minute, but there we go. Okay.
You
Not
are.
sure what was up with that, but let me get this centered in. So this is putting out, let me double check that I have 75 ohm termination on here. Yes, okay, definitely. So then this
Yeah, he
is,
needs 75 ohm termination because he's not going straight to the CRT or split it. He's terminated midway.
so this is 1.29 volts, so on sync. So this is, it's very good that I didn't just plug this into the tank then. So that means without any load on it, let me just lower this down. Yeah, it's 5 volt. It's 5 volts without a load. So this right there, like if you had decided to purchase this and you owned a OSSC RetroTink, most switches, you already just paid for yourself by by buying this thing. Or if you already have a Neo Geo ROM cart, the ROMs are available for free as well. But just saying, as far as return on investment goes, blowing out one of your scalers or switches is going to be more expensive than buying this thing. So it is very, very good that we caught that. Let me pop this open and see if I could just add a resistor in here real quick. See how badly this is made. Whoa! There's a wad of glue. Let me get that in focus for you all to enjoy. Ugh. Yeah, not
There
great.
you go. No.
Not great. Got back into focus here. Interesting. So, I wonder if am I gonna have to pull the glue off? Gotta add a resistor to that sync line in order to lower it and make it safe enough to put this through scaler so we could see. But I guess since we're here, we could always just try just to make sure and see the RGB levels are safe as well. I can't imagine those would be super off, but only one way to try. Oh, that's a messy looking signal too. Not sure if you can see that on stream, but
You can kind of tell. Yeah.
cursor. So it's right at 720.
Okay,
Oh
that's
no,
good.
it's 712-ish. Yeah, all right. So the voltage level is fine on at least red. Let me just check the other ones real quick and see what we got.
And there's another thing that you can do with the hot glue. That's IPA. You can use that to not dissolve it, but unglue it from surfaces. It works marvels to just spray it with
Yep, I was
IPA.
gonna try that actually. I think I have some here. I'll see if I could pull that off on stream.
Go. It's kind similar, right? This is a bit lower. That one.
So the green was a little bit lower, and or yeah, green was a little bit lower. It was about 608, and then blue is about the same. And both of
Hmm.
the signals do kind of look a little funk. So now, whenever they run these Neo Geo consoleizers run through encoders, I've seen that before. So we could definitely check and see. But I'm also there's some knobs on the back. One of them is
Hmm.
volume, but the other is low and high. So I don't even really know what that
Maybe
would
it's
be.
impedance, right? If you change that to low impedance, it changes the
Um,
sync.
So it does not change the sync at all. That's what I'm kind of looking at now, but that's exactly what I was hoping.
Maybe audio is low and high impedance. Maybe they have it switched so that it has preamplified or line level.
That is a very good thought. Yeah, it didn't really change the voltage here at all, but let's try the we could sort of see in real time. Doesn't seem to do anything. And the only time you see it dancing on the screen is whenever I end up accidentally hitting the cable, not the knob. I'm not sure what that was all about, but yeah, let's power this off. Let's take this out and let's try the IPA trick and see what we got. Try to get the camera down so. Oh, that's bad. All right, what did I do with my jug of IPA? Usually keep it pretty handy. Didn't fall back, did it? It'd be really. Oh, here it is. It'd be really crappy if I found out that my
You would
IPA
have
was just
smelled
spilled
that.
all over the floor back there.
Yeah, but you'd have smelled that.
True.
An MVS board with SuperGun. Yeah, but this is kind of the a consoleized MVS is basically the same thing, but inside a single case.
So how do you usually use IPA? Do you just kind of rub it on with a Q-tip and wait a few moments? Do you
For this scenario, I have like a spray bottle,
Mhm.
and I just spray it. I have these small containers that are for spraying liquids, and I just spray the IPA on top of it, and it shrinks and it unglues from the surfaces, not.
Hey, what's up, Belmont? Task toaster. Am I gonna test the sweet in the toaster?
MBS systems have so many shapes. There's like the 1F, that's huge, right?
Yeah.
The original version. This one is a 1C, right? I guess because it's a
Yeah.
top loader.
I was kind of hoping it would be one of the ones that uses the B, so I could see what that's like. But nope, it's a typical MV1C.
I have a C right here. I wasn't even prepared, but I have a C here, and maybe an F just around the corner. I have them like sprayed on top of all over the house. This is what a C looks like without an enclosure. That enclosure is to take care of any static discharges that you have, like a Faraday cage, of course, but also to contain the what would be a super gun inside of that, right? It
Yeah.
should have the ports, the voltages, and everything nicely lined up to external connectors so that you can use it like a game console. Hence the name consoleized. Hey, hey, greetings to Colombia, Jacobo. Glad you're around here. Badly says, I just dump it on there and use the wipes to clean my work. Yeah, that's another option.
I think I got it exactly the way I needed it to be. It exposed the sync wire. Oh,
Good.
and I actually accidentally pulled the sync wire off, so perfect, even better.
Okay, yeah, you just soldered the resistor directly there.
Let me see if I could find a resistor and then just
And
add that right in.
and is this cart or is this JP21?
I believe this is SCART because it probably would not have worked through that harness if it was JP21.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm one of those old guys that has mostly JP21, but right now I have mixed systems. In my office, I use JP21, and for streams and gaming, I use SCART.
Do you have a switch that could handle both?
No, I have one switch for for one and one switch for the other, and everything is labeled everywhere because since I ended up using mixed, and I use a bunch of converters as well, like this one, right? It says warning. RGB21 and SCART on the bottom, right? I convert from SCART to JP21 all the time, and vice versa.
Now I feel like an idiot because I could have easily given you this while you were here. And it's the AshenWorks that does both. I'll have to mail this one to you.
That's amazing.
I'm going to leave this out
I
so I
didn't know there
remember.
was something in the market like that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of options on this, and the only thing is it has a gain control. So you have to be somebody who understands how to use scopes in order to use it. But you, obviously, are that person, so you have nothing to worry about. Yeah, let me... pretty sure this is it. Yeah, I'm going to leave that aside so I can send that to you.
Oh,
Because I get this.
that's really kind of you.
Oh, of course, yeah. I just would have been a little easier if I just handed it to you while you were sitting here in my family room. But you know, better late than never, I guess.
I miss that place, man. We had a great time.
Yeah, that was wonderful. I wish, you know, I wish things were different. We found a way to do that every year somehow. You know, just change places around the globe and everybody just come out and meet.
It was lighting a bottle in a way.
I still like the idea of doing it somewhere kind of tropical.
Well,
680 ohms should be fine. It might drop it a little low, but this is the resistor that I have sitting right on the top of the pile, so I feel like it's going to be a good one to try first.
Yeah.
680 could probably drop it down into as low as the 200s, but you know, at the very least, it'll work. Always better to be too low than too high. If it's too low, you just won't get a signal. If it's too high, you could blow your equipment out. So.
Hey, Juan Jose, he says that he's excited for his suite in the new Geo, and he wants to get one. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I brought the, since you had brought me the new copy of the 240p test suite for the Genesis, I brought the original one that you had made me years ago down to the shop. So now Brooklyn Arcade has it at the shop if they need it.
Yeah, that one's really, really old, right?
Yeah, geez, I'm pushing almost 10 years. All right, so not sure if anybody can see this, but I have my solder sucker here. It's the Voltar Sucks 3101, because everybody knows nobody sucks like Voltar.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I need to publish this information. I'm so bad at releasing and publishing, and the Genesis suite is due for an update as well as the Wii. I know that because I added a bunch of things to test Sega CD hardware that's gone bad.
Oh wow!
Yeah, a Saxer and a bunch of other repair people out there. I have been using it because the suite allows you to boot the Sega CD from cart. So you insert the cart, even the one that you have, Bob. The only difference is that I've added more PCM tests, and you can boot the Sega CD from the cart and check the RAM, check the work RAM, the program RAM, the PCM, the CD player, and control every one of those, and even the registers to control the Sega CD. So you can use that to check, and they've been using it to check PCM. And I made some specialized tests to check the DRAM of the PCM Rico chip because what it does is it writes the RAM and checks it 1 second later to check if the DRAM, the refresh, is working as well as the lines.
I noticed somebody in the chat asked if I have a PO box that people could send stuff to. If I do, I can give you that, but I have to very respectfully and very politely say that I'm backlogged months. So if you send me something, there's an excellent chance that it's going to sit in a box. And if anybody's seen the room tour here, there's all boxes here. So I've actually lost stuff before. Like Pete from Monkey, M-Monkey, really, really nice person, sent me it was a sync adjustment that allows you to use it for horizontal and vertical centering. And I was so excited to get it. I wanted to test it. At the time that he had sent it, that was a pretty big issue with one of the arcade machines I was using. And then About 2 weeks ago, I found it, and I hadn't seen it since I lived in New York City. I felt like such an ass that I completely lost it after he was nice enough to make it and send it. But so yeah, I could pass that info along, but I will probably unintentionally end up not doing anything with it or giving it to somebody who will. That is at least something that I always do. Is I don't just have a collection of stuff. Like I'll try my best to get things in the hands of people who actually use it.
He says he doesn't mind it.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Well, are you on Discord or are you on any of the services or Twitter or something where I could just send that to you? I know it's just a PO box, but it still feels weird just just yelling it out on a live stream.
No, should I? Okay, yeah. Yeah, Pepe Salo, the illustrator, he's from Chile. Yeah, we commissioned that a while ago, and Herz is in the chat, the designer of the hardware. Hi, Herz, how are you doing? And he and I both decided on what to commission, and the idea was to have a use case as the one that you encounter when the calibrating arcade, right? So basically, Jana is calibrating a big red monitor using a mirror and calibrating the color gains from the neck tube, the neck from the CRT tube, right? That's and there are several things around the area like other hardware, MVS cards, and the Gauss coil, the schematics for the CRT, for that specific version of the CRT, for this Jose modeled. So there's a picture of Jose doing exactly this. If you can imagine that, Bob.
Yeah, that's the sync line. So I think what I'm going to do is connect it and then just use a piece of non-conductive tape to isolate it,
Yeah,
which is
good.
real ghetto, but it'll get this job done so that we could show off the suite. Yeah, that wasn't that was I couldn't figure out why the wire wouldn't strip until I realized it wasn't wire, it was heat shrink tubing.
Wow. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, well, let me grab some non-conductive tape. Let's make this happen.
Yeah,
Hey, Monty.
Stonish Gamer sells internationally. Sorry, Bob.
Nope, just saying hi to people in the chat. Sorry.
Yeah, you could use Captain maybe if you don't have the. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I just have regular black tape. That should be good enough
Yeah,
for this.
it's better for these scenarios. More malleable.
So now I'm almost glad that they covered this thing in hot glue because that's also going to act as an insulator. Now, I would not say use hot glue instead of heat shrink tubing or proper insulation, but in a scenario like this, we got to make it happen. Let's just, just use it and get it over with. My opinions on what people should consider acceptable for their own work are wildly different than my opinions on what you should expect when you buy something. And this is not what you should expect when you buy something. Whereas if somebody was like, oh, hey, I was in a rush, I was on my way to a tournament, I lost my cable, I had to make one, I wanted to make sure it lasted, so I just covered it in glue. Fine, cool. That's kind of like just making it happen, and, you got to do what you got to do. That's fine. But for somebody to actually purchase this and have it show up like that, that's annoying, and I feel bad. Okay, one more little piece of isolation tape. So normally I am of the mindset that you don't put the case on anything until you've tested it, except I want to make sure that when I snap the case together, I didn't crimp any other wires. So I want to test it, as is when I'm going to be using it. Yeah, that's funny. It looks like they filled it with glue and then smushed the case on top of it. So if this was brand new and not a couple of years old, I probably wouldn't have even been able to open the SCART case because the glue would still be affixed to it. the fact that it's hot glue and it kind of cools and separates over time was actually a good thing in this scenario. And that's actually why I purposely use hot glue sometimes, is because I know that I can get it off and that it will come apart at some point.
Yeah.
It certainly
It's
comes in
reversible.
handy for stuff that you like, you know that you're going to be remodding or working on again. Right?
It's reversible, right?
I have to climb over a CRT that's just sitting there with the neck board up that I've been meaning to put in that Tate monitor, and I just haven't found time to. So every time I go around the other side of this table, I'm climbing over the neck board of a CRT. A harrowing experience. Don't want to trip and fall and land my
No, you
boys
don't
right
want to
on it.
break that.
All right. Have here. Do you have any signal at all? Now we
Hello,
don't have
Volter.
any
Yeah,
signal at all. Uh-oh. We might be moving this stream over to my my Astro City cab then or something.
you're not getting a signal.
No signal at all. So let me double check.
Sorry, everyone. There was a power outage. Do you hear me, Bob? Yeah.
I can, yeah. There was a power outage,
Okay,
but you're
good.
back now.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't know if you were. Hello, Volter. Hello, Rollman. Rollman
Hey,
also
what's up,
was
guys?
pivotal.
Voltar, you just
Yeah.
missed it. We had your fume extractor we were using.
Yeah.
You should really sell that on your store.
Yeah. And fun thing is the power outage just took out the modem. Everything else was fine. The battery of the no break from the modem is dead. I need to change that.
Oh, geez. All right, so
Hello, Alexander. Hello, Bob. What's the deal with these scarred cables? Is Walter?
interestingly enough, now I'm not getting any signal on the sync line from that.
Dan B is asking if there's Neo SD ROM for the suite. Of course there is. You can go to each IO. Just search for 240p test suite, and you'll get directly to the downloads, and it's right up there. There's a Neo SD, there's a multi, there's a Neo Geo CD, MAME, whatever you want.
Actually, Voltar, I think I might know what I did. I think it might have used a 680K and not a 680 ohm resistor. So let me
no, that'll definitely kill the signal.
yeah, total bonehead move. So let me just make sure to get my solder sucker out again and double check the resistor here. Am I? Sorry, I clicked on my YouTube window and now my OBS window's in the way, so I can't. Here we go. All right.
Oh yeah, doing that always.
There we go. All right, let me double check. Oh, my camera just went out, but don't worry. It wasn't a power outage. I just tripped. Coming right back up, right back up.
What value did he use to attenuate? He's not sure, but probably instead of 68K, he probably used instead of 68 ohms, he probably used 68K. That's what he
Yeah,
said. But
I
we are
can
not
tell you
sure.
right now. I was just
Take care, Robert Garcia. Very appropriate.
yeah, it
for,
was
for a
680
Neo Geo
kilo
stream.
ohm. It was a very old package. That's why I didn't know. The K is like, the writing is kind of worn down. So, well, that's actually a good thing. While that's an embarrassing mistake to make on stream, it's a really good thing because nothing's broken. I just used the wrong one. Zach, though, since you're here, I was getting 5 volts no load, 1.3 under 75 ohms load. So 480 ohm resistor is what I normally would go for in a situation like that. But if I don't have one of those, I have a 150 ohm right here. It'll be high, but it still won't be like blow your equipment out high, correct?
No, 150 ohm?
Yeah.
My guess is that it'll be attenuating too much, but probably it'll work. Okay, anything between 100 ohm to 700 ohms, says Walter. There you go. The man knows his game. I'm really bad at analog electronics.
It's funny that I did that because I had a lot of people email me over the years saying they tried, a mod and they didn't get any signal, and they showed pictures, and I'm kind of colorblind, so I can never really tell what the colors are on the resistors anyway. So I very often have said, like, hey, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. This is not a shot, but are you sure you used 75 ohm and not 75K resistors? And I can't tell you how many people have come back and gone, holy crap, you're right. I used the wrong ones. Or a few people ordered the right ones, but the wrong ones showed up. I found 470 right here, so that'll work, by the way. But so yeah, that's a very, very funny and common mistake to make. All right, so this 470 ohm resistor should actually be perfect for this then.
Walter says that with 150 ohm, it'll slice high, but it won't be harmful. That's below the CMOS threshold.
That's what I would have guessed, but thanks, Zach. I always like to double check that. Like, I found the correct one. I'd like to do it right. If I had to, if I had to Band-Aid it, I would have. But this is, I'm glad I get to do it the right way here. Okay. Removed that one. Chop this one to size. I can't know if you can see this on stream. Am I the only one that sometimes uses the holes in their tools to prop up resistors and stuff? The holes at the bottom of my my pliers are just perfect for holding up resistors where I need to add solder to it. I used to have the magnifying glass with clippers, alien looking thing, but those that broke over the years, and I never ended up ordering another one. So
yeah,
there we
but
go.
I find them so kind of clumsy, no? Right?
Yeah.
It's better than nothing, but it's hard to use them. Sometimes I'd rather use my mouth to hold a cable and one hand to do the other. But streaming and doing that kind of thing is hard.
Well, also, if you used your mouth to hold this resistor, you'd then burn your mouth.
No. And if you're holding the solder, you'll die. Don't do that. Don't eat lead. Yeah.
Funny enough, the hot
also
glue.
Castlevania.
Oh.
Hey, Castlevania. Great to see you around. Okay.
Right. Zach, if you're still on, whoever made this cable used just the ground, used some unshielded grounding wire for sync, and then put a little bit of heat shrink tubing over it. So I'm basically using whatever exposed piece of wire that was in here to connect the sync, to reconnect the sync line, because that's basically all I had. So this is terrible. This was a AliExpress special that Phone Dork bought and very kindly donated so that we could do stuff just like this to it. All right, let me try it again with the correct resistor now and probably get a signal. The one cool thing too, if you have a Neo Geo that you're testing and you're not sure at all what's the issue with it, does it work? Is it gonna smoke and catch fire? If it's an MVS, the arcade boards, you don't need to have anything plugged into it. You'll just get a basic checkerboard pattern. So when I was preparing for the stream, I wanted to make sure that this worked at all. Otherwise, I was going to find a different solution, and that's what I did. So I was like, okay, well, at the very least, there's no smoke and fire. This thing can go right up.
Yeah,
Cruz, what's
sync
up,
was too
dude?
high, Castlevania games, so Bob is trying to lower it with a resistor, but he has a cable that he had to fix for that.
Okay, we have signal again. We could, we have signal and we have color, so I'm just going
there
to
you
now
go.
check the voltage, and we should be good to go after this. Then I could plug it into the
There you go,
tank, and we
fixed.
could start testing there as well. So glad I
Castlevania
didn't do
says,
that first.
Ryan says, noted, sending a box of broken crap to Bob's house for him to fix, obviously.
Unfortunately, that's basically what I do to Cruz on like a monthly basis. Like, hey man, know you're busy, but check your mail.
Enjoy.
All right,
It's
that's still
impressive
working.
how much stuff breaks down. Well, it's because obviously you have a bunch of things, and things are prone to fail eventually.
Yeah, and on top of that too, as we've all seen in these live streams, I could do this stuff, but Cruz could do it way better. So
Yeah,
some things like I
he's got a
enjoy
lot of
doing, some
experience.
things would make for a fun stream, but very often I would have started a project, gotten most of the way through it, broke it, and then not only have to pay Jose to do the mod anyway, but then I'd have to pay him to fix it. So why am I going to waste more of his time, waste my money? So it's unless it's something I really want to do, so much easier to send it to the right person. We are at 444 millivolts now, so we are good to switch it over to the RetroTink. I'm gonna throw in the RetroTink 5X right now, and
Just for the public, what would be the recommended range for feeding into a RetroTink?
250 to 900 millivolts should be considered safe for SCART equipment. Whenever we end up designing stuff, we like to kind of aim for just about this range, just about the 450-ish range. There were devices a while back, including the FrameMeister at a certain firmware that actually wouldn't work on too low voltage, even though it was within the SCART spec. It wouldn't, if it was at like 250 millivolts, you would have dropouts and other issues. So while that should still be totally fine, it is something that I try to keep into account just in case people are on older equipment. So we should have a blue screen for the tank. Yep, beautiful.
Yep, you have a blue screen. And Gumbo asks, he needs to replace a vertical side spot on a potentiometer on a 19-inch SCART CRT. What range would it be, common rating? You should try and measure it because they depend on the design of the chassis.
Artemio, sorry, my
So
friend,
this
but
is.
I'm making you smaller and moving you over.
Oh no! Please do. And there you go. It's sitting up a bit on the right side, I guess. There's several things that are notable in the Neo Geo signal that I wasn't aware of before making this. And in particular, the Neo Geo always outputs 320 by 224. However, the spec in the Neo Geo and all games draw intentionally black bars on top of the first 8 pixels and last 8 pixels, so you get a 304 by 224 signal that better fits within NTSC spec. And this was done even on the BIOS. The BIOS has a command to mask the image from 320 to 304 intentionally.
We're sorry, there was a dropout for a sec, Artemio. I thought you were done. My apologies.
No problem.
So we are at just the boot screen right now. I'm running it through the Tink 5X in 1080p under, so 4X, just so that there's more room on the screen and so that we could see the whole thing. And it looks like the default screen cycles the background. That's really neat. That is a really cool feature.
Yeah, I was wondering if I should do this for all other versions, but it just felt natural here because it has a demo mode on the MVS, and the BIOS asks the card to run a demo mode, and the BIOS is the one that's cycling the thing. And also this interacts completely as a game would when inserting the coin and everything else. So you can set up that in the BIOS screen. You can change these kind of things.
That is very, very cool. So in order to, excuse me, so how do I start out here? Just the main coin.
Yeah, you insert a coin
gets
and you
you
get the
started
title
out. Oh, and
screen.
when you hit the coin, you see the credits change in the bottom. That is very funny.
Yeah, it follows all the MVS conventions. And yes, the SD Gillian doesn't blink in older versions, but new versions of the suite all blink.
So let's just kind of go through and check some of the stuff out. Now the test patterns, if you've used the 240p test suite before, a lot of this is probably going to be familiar to you. So I'm not going to spend all of the time on them. Although we could, it does appear that the colors are a little hot on this. Can't
Yeah,
quite
it's
see.
they are a bit hot. There's also something interesting to note everywhere because there are little details. If you see that you have red and dark red. On the top you have a slightly brighter range of reds, and at the bottom you have a slightly darker range of reds because the Neo Geo has this bit that changes the level on every single primary color.
Yeah, interesting. So this is the other reason why we always talk about, and Voltar especially, um, you know, it's totally fine if you're a couple of millivolts under the recommended voltage. We usually aim
Mhm.
for 699, just just to see that it's getting close to 700, but it's not going over, and it's for this exact reason, because if you're a little too dark, so 650, 625 millivolts, you can just turn your brightness up if you even need to. If you're playing in a dark room, you might not. But as you can see here, you actually lose detail on the screen when you're a little bit hot. So
Yeah, even the dark bits are a bit hot, right?
yeah.
Firebrand X
Oh wait, that's
says
right.
that
The
he
dark, I forgot. So that's awesome how you did it this way with the dark bits underneath the underneath like that. That is really cool.
Yeah, it wasn't my intention, but there's a previous work by a Neo Geo hardware homebrew developer that made this in his pattern, and it made a lot of sense. I added a bit more. If you press the A button, you get the pattern with the grid on the back. And
Ah,
you change between. You also change between full, both, or just dark. Okay, dark bit. So you can toggle between all the primaries. And with the C button, you should change to the other pattern that yeah, you have the grid, so you get more contrast, right? As you can
nice.
see, we are eating a bit of the pixels on the right. Maybe we should set that up on the RetroSync to just use 4.3 or Neo Geo sampling to get that right. Oh, it's 4.3. Maybe it does have a Neo Geo one. It's not centered or eating a bit on the sides. Maybe it's cropping. I don't know. Yeah, H crop start. Yeah, there it is. It's cropping. There you go. And on the side, the end, you're cropping a bit as well. And yeah, Firebrand, every single Neo Geo game in reality is always 320. Hardware does 320, but black bars are put on top, and you darken the 16 pixels, 8 from the right and 8 from the left, and end up with just 304 visible. But the signal is 320. The BIOS just draws black bars on top of them. And we can toggle that on under options here if we want to see the whole 320. And the patterns change. Every single pattern was designed for 304 and for 320 to respect Neo Geo spec. It's 304 by default, but you can change that in the BIOS. You can enter and change the 240p test with general settings, so it boots in 320 always, or just go under options and change it for every single case or use scenario.
Awesome.
Why some games don't have the bars and some do? They should all have the bars, Firebrand. When they don't, they are not following Neo Geo standards.
So when you go into the
Of
EBU
course,
color bars, that's interesting. So when you first go in, it's at 100%, and then if you hit
yeah.
A, it goes up to 107.
Well, this is the previous release, the first release of the suite, the one that was 0.95. The one that's in the retail cards is the 1.0 version. And the thing is that AES goes above IRE 100 up to 107, but you're on an MVS, so that doesn't make sense. And I changed that, so when it's running on MVS, it always says 100 because it's on MVS hardware, and only does that 107 thing when you're on AES, because AES goes above IRE. Okay.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
We might be
So
able to
sorry about the
update the
confusion.
cart at the end of the
Yeah,
stream
you
when we're
have the
done going through.
pre-release version, but this was changed in the one that's in the cards.
Awesome. Yeah, I have the thing that you sent me. We could probably show that at the end. I definitely
Yeah,
want to go
sure.
through these and kind of show off.
And if you go under options, you can change that thing. Just go back with B twice and thrice, and then go under options. And you have the BIOS or the full 320. It widens if you go. You can darken the whole display, and you have both fonts. The original one we used for the suite was the thin one, and you have the new thick version of the font. And right now you change it to 320, so patterns now are outside the 304 and go all the way to 320 on the sides, right?
Interesting. Okay.
And all patterns have both versions. You're cropping a bit with the retro thing right now from the 320 because you calibrated for 304. And you can see that in the grid or the monoscope if you go. Okay.
Awesome.
And these were thoroughly checked. Obviously, this IRE makes only sense in MBS. It's relative to the full signal, and on AES it matches what a waveform monitor shows, of course.
Oh. Yeah, by the way, Dan, YouTube blocks links, and it's much easier if you need to drop a link in the chat. Let me know, but it's much easier if you could do it somewhere else. Sorry about that.
Yeah, there's nothing that one as a creator can do to enable users to post links. They simply block them.
You can, but then you have to disable a lot of security for all of your videos across your whole channel. So it's just so much better to not do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the darken colors, it's a general signal thing. So you can darken the whole thing. This warning is not in the final version because well, this one is because the later patterns, later revisions of the board eat up a pixel. On the they just show 319 pixels. 319. Oh, thank you very much, Gumbo. Yeah, in the Discord, you can share links on our RetroRGB's Discord. As you can see right now on the scaler, we're eating a bit of the sides because you changed to 320, and we're eating how many? You can tell this pattern here is to tell how many pixels you're eating. So you just go right overscan, and there you go. You go back, you're in 8 pixels on each side, right? Which
That's
makes a lot of
interesting.
sense because you calibrated for 304, right?
Yeah. So let me switch it back and see.
Yeah, you can re-show the sides and just on the crop. It was the crop setting that is eating it. And these patterns are also useful not just for calibrating your CRT, but for calibrating when you're streaming. It helps a lot to just set up everything to levels with your capture card so that the stream comes out cleanly and shows the correct aspect ratio and also the whole image, right?
Yeah, completely and totally agree. 100%. So
Yeah,
that's
it's a pain to calibrate every time you change platform for streaming, and we usually don't do that, but it would be the proper thing to do.
Interesting. All right, that works great. So that's interesting. This is not in the other versions, right?
Which one?
HCFR
Sorry.
patterns?
Oh, this is new, and it's only available on Dreamcast, Wii, GameCube, and Neo Geo, because you need to have the proper color space mapped. Of course, Neo Geo is on the low end of the capabilities of color, but it's just in to kind of match the proper levels. It has the color gamut and converts. This was done by Dance Mons. You can go into help, and we have a bunch of information. No, sorry, inside the pattern or the menu of the pattern. Yeah, just go inside one of those and enter the help, and there you go. There's a QR code to go to the page that describes everything. But here, Keith and Dance Mons made a lot of work to have this be used with a colorimeter, so you can properly calibrate your CRT or any other kind of display with a colorimeter and follow the patterns from the software, which you can download from the links in the QR to calibrate with your colorimeter, the suite and software in your PC, and get the curves of your CRT using this, a Dreamcast, a Wii, or a GameCube. The best version for this right now would be Dreamcast, but Neo Geo is just above the line where it's capable of doing this. Super Nintendo and Genesis are out of the question so far.
Yeah, I've learned so much about calibration and stuff from Dan, and I still can wholeheartedly say I have no clue what I'm doing. Certainly not compared to him.
So you basically just go into this, select the proper calibration that you want, load your software on the PC with what you want, place the colorimeter, and just press right, and the software will check every one of these tones, color tones, and tell you what you need to adjust, right?
Yep.
For matching the curves better.
Awesome. I also have a colorimeter here, Monaco Easy Color Optics XR, still in the box. Gotta get around to that.
And as you can tell, it could identify that it has a one slot Neo Geo, right?
This is hysterical. The plane from Metal Slug. This is so cool.
This was Dustin's idea.
Ah, Dasun, good job, my friend.
Yeah. You obviously got every single version, and every single pattern has 320 and 304 versions. There's also patterns in PAL. I had to mod my console since I don't have a PAL console, but every resolution and combination is respected. Obviously, MVS in PAL, the suite will do it, but it will just tell you that doesn't exist. Okay. I always refer to that screen as Shadow the Hedgehog. That's funny.
Oh, anybody who's watched any of my videos is very familiar with this. Very cool. Reflex test. I'm so happy that you renamed this reflex test.
Yeah, I it's a mistake I made so many years ago that I named it that way. Well, it's hopefully corrected. You have the scroll test that has, as you can tell, it has way more tiles than the Genesis and the Super Nintendo version. The scenario is way bigger. It uses the same pattern that Dreamcast and Wii use, that have since we have more ROM available. Because we didn't try to just like fill a cart. We went with as much optimized as possible, but also since there's so much space in the smallest version of a Neo Geo cart, we try to pick a balance, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Yellow and Black. Yeah, this this we try to go as low as possible with the cards. They are handmade, and we view this as a service to users that do want a card, because everyone involved is making so little money out of this, in order this I don't mean it in a bad way. It's to try and keep the costs as low as possible. But since each card has a bunch of ROMs, it needs 7 of these flash ROMs, and the logic to manage. This is the smallest cards available for Neo Geo, and we tried to build that, following that as a service to users that did want a card and don't have a flash card. Of course, you can download the ROM, but you need a flash card for that, or an emulator, of course. The Neo Geo CD version has everything updated for that. This test was requested by Bob, so he can explain you what it does, because it has 2 operation modes.
So what this is doing, if you use the LED kits that I've been using forever and a high-speed camera, I like to use the Sony 1000 frame per second one. What you could actually do is run this, press the button, and then you see the frames, and you could count how many frames pass between the light on your controller lights and the person disappears. I didn't realize you would actually, I forgot that you had put that in the test. I remember you had sent me the custom one, and that's what I've been doing this whole time. And in fact, I remember it because the other day I was trying to reorganize my hard drive, and I saw a folder that said Artemio lag test, and I'm like, what the hell could this be? We've worked on so many things together over the years, but
Yeah.
no, it was this one. And that same thing with the
There's
flash,
a
too.
second operation mode. That one. That second operation mode is to test lagging controllers.
Yep.
Is the
And
one
the
that
whole screen
Mr.
turns
Adams
white,
used.
which makes it way easier because a lot of these high-speed cameras are very low quality at higher speeds. So while the disappearing logo works great, if you're doing like a Sega Nomad screen, anything you could do to make it easier to read is definitely cool.
Yeah, the help details how many frames everything does. So if you're using that, you just check. It's 2 frames, basically. Hmm.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, it says
So helpful.
2 frames.
One of the most frustrating things, right? I've vented very often about how people have, on a regular basis, stolen my work and pretended that it's theirs, and that annoys me. But what annoys me so much more is people don't steal the right stuff. I would love for somebody to come and just, even if they don't credit me at all, they start using these tests and the LEDs and stuff like that. Great, beautiful, use that. But now it's that requires actual work because you still need to build yourself a controller with an LED in it. It's just a lot going on. So that is a little frustrating, but it happens. All right, sound test. Now this is the standard that you would expect from the 240p test suite to test the different audio chips.
It has some details, some extra details. The sound driver was custom. It's custom for the suite, completely in C80 assembly, and the samples. One was created specifically for the suite by a friend, and you can change the sample rate and the loops in 80 PCMB. There's also a detail in, and you can check your consoleized MVS with that, because 1C Neo Geos in particular have swapped left and right audio.
So I think this particular cable. So this cable that I have here, the audio is unplugged because it's separate audio to video.
Okay.
And I don't want to plug it in because I don't want to. The stream's about the 240p test
No,
suite, not how to test audio voltage. So I'd rather keep the stream about
no
this
need for
amazing
that.
product. So we're gonna have to
But can
unfortunately
you
skip
press?
audio. But I do like the explanation because that's obviously gonna be what people could use for this.
Yes, the later versions of the Neo Geo, as documented by Xeno Crisis developers, has swapped 80 PCM B channels, but not A channels. So it's a pain, right? But the Suite and Xeno Crisis do have an option to swap them via software. Okay. Do you have access to the test button on the Neo Geo?
I don't know. There's another button here. Let me press it and see what happens.
Yeah, sure.
That apparently is
Okay.
reset. So no.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, that's fine.
Well, you have unibias, so you can actually kind of go into there. Well, there's MD Fourier, MD4E has specific versions for different variations of the hardware. And the later revision, the 1.0 that's been released to the public, has a menu there that tells you if you want the full sequence for the Neo Geo that you're using or the compatible one, because ADPCMB is not present in Neo Geo CD. Okay, and Neo Geo revisions have different audio clock signals, and you can compare between them, but you need to use a compatible pattern that works on all revisions. So you have the same apples to apples thing, or you have a specific version for each Neo Geo that details and uses every synth available on that hardware. So it has
Ooh.
two variations of the suite of the test for each hardware revision. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, wow, that is an insane amount of work. So,
And if you go, if you're going to help, you get the QR code with the link of the documentation for this.
let me I can. Sorry, yeah, I'm just going through.
I feel you, Yellow and Black. Here in Mexico, we have the same issue. That's why we partnered with Stone Age Gamer, and they published the game so they could do international shipments and management. Otherwise, here from Mexico, costs would be prohibitive,
Yeah,
impossible.
Yellow and Black, I appreciate you bringing that up. And if anybody in the chat is going to buy this and they live around the world and it ends up being way too expensive because of shipping or exchange rate, please, if you happen to be in the chat now, call it out. If not, get in touch with one of us later because we want to make this available to everybody. So I know Stone Age Gamer has a very limited amount of carts for this run. So, it's not 10. It's not, it's a fair amount were made, but I think for the next run, it would be great to know stuff like, all right, we need to have a local UK store, we need to have an Australia store, and I do have quite a few friends in Australia. It's one of the reasons why I'm trolling them drinking Foster's right now. So we could make this happen. We could absolutely get stores around the world to have this. I'm positive Stone Age Gamer wouldn't mind selling bulk discounts to other stores. Um, so just let us know and we'll give it a shot. For now, unfortunately, I think for this run of carts, I think these are probably going to be sold out within a week or two. But for the next run, I would love to make this available to everybody because, the Neo Geo is all over the planet. I've had people talk to me about Neo Geo from every country basically. So, and this is such an important tool that I'm on your page. I want to see everybody get this. So please let us know if for whatever reason exchange rate, shipping, whatever else is crazy, and at the very least for the next batch we could try to make this happen for you. I love the
Yeah, so
QR
that
codes, by
has
the way.
the QR code and the URL if you want to go and check the documentation on how to use this and how to compare audio between emulation and different revisions of the console and check what the filters and the frequencies being used if they are off or in target, right?
Yeah. Okay. Hardware tools. So this
Yeah,
is pretty
you
cool.
have the controller
I was
test.
looking forward to going through this with you. So controller test is always super super helpful. I mean, every console, any. Oh, I held the wrong button for that. Sorry, but yeah, this is very cool. I'm very happy to see this. So
And
helpful.
you have the service switch as well. And this auto configures depending on the Neo Geo revision that you're using, even on the ports that have the MBS, the AES ports in MBS machines, or the combinations with UniBIOS or without UniBIOS, or even the four controller revisions. It allows for testing any of those. Just press
Yeah.
C and you get out from there. Yeah.
Um, Jeremy, yeah, no, I went over this at the beginning of the stream. I actually am drinking Foster's, and I truly think it's one of the best of the worst. So if you're at a store and you have a choice between Coors Light, Rolling Rock, and Foster's, I'll actually like the Foster's. But Guinness, Smittix, Negro Modelo, no chance I'm drinking a Foster's if I have those options.
Oh, thank you, Tio Paco. Welcome.
Hey, I actually heard Modelo outsold all of the American beers for the first time ever in May. obviously for a big part due to Cinco de Mayo, but I thought that was really cool because I've always loved that beer. Negro Modelo was always my favorite, but I'd prefer a regular Modelo over a Corona. I don't mean I'm sure somebody in
Oh,
the chat's getting really offended right now, but it is what it is.
no, I don't think they should.
All right, so start plus left to exit. BIOS info.
Yes. Yeah, it auto detects its Universe BIOS. It's the version 4.0, and it was unrecognized. Probably a modified version or one with a serial number.
Could it be one of the versions that had the serial number hacked out because they stole Razula's BIOS and used it on their machines?
Should be,
Because
but
this
it was
came
not
this came
recognized.
from a random AliExpress store. So
Yeah, probably they have a different version, but it wasn't recognized by CRC. However, it tells you what version it is. It tells you it's a 4.0 version of the UniBIOS. And if it had identified it between the registered versions of the BIOS, it would have told us which revision it is.
all right.
It checks the C80 RAM, and there you go.
So this
Just
is the
goes, tells us,
shortest demo that we've done so far. But if Cruz is still here, he's probably just nodding his head in approval. Like, yep, because so many times we've ended up getting MV1Cs with bad RAM. So having a way to
oh,
just press a button and test it, there we go. Otherwise, you'd have to, because there's been a couple of times where I got something, I tested it really quick, I went, all right, it's good. And then I went to use it for a project, and all of a sudden I'm getting weird characters all over the screen, crashes, reboots, and it turns out to be bad RAM. So it would be really nice to just have this test right here.
there's extra information. If go into the UniBIOS if possible,
Okay.
ABC and start, yeah, and go into the bug dip settings
Oh, debug dip. Okay. Yeah.
and press one. Turn on, yeah, go back with CCC. No, CCC, and you get more stuff. Okay,
Oh
you
wow.
get the response that you have, and you also get statistics about how long it took to reply. So this would be available if you want to just debug the stuff. That's why it's not exposed as an option for the end user because it has so much more information. It helped me during debug of the suite, but I decided not to remove it because I kind of think it's traditional for games in the Neo Geo to have the debug stuff not taken out, and I left it in. Okay,
Hmm.
if you press B to exit and go into internal variables, for example, that's only shown here. It tells you the speed of cycles of CPU cycles that response from the C80 took. It took 532 to test the RAM, and that's going to be constant. And emulation might change, Mister might change, or whatever system might change. And this could be an option to test the speed of things. It also has several internal variables of it was detected as an MVS and that kind of thing, right? This
So
is
if this
debug stuff.
if you really are going for as accurate emulation as humanly possible, you would want it to match original hardware. But do different revisions of the MVS board show different results?
Not so far.
Okay. That was plausible with all the different MVS revisions.
Of course. And this is an internal RAM viewer, so you can check the whole system and test everything. It checks every single area of the ROM, RAM, everything that's mapped to the CPU. You can view. It has different views. This is standard for the suite. If you press C, you get to view in ASCII. Okay, that probably there's no ASCII there. But if you're watching the BIOS on the first, I believe that you press C, 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 and you go jump between the or D. That, yeah, there
Oh, that was
you
D.
get
Sorry.
different. Yeah, and you can view ASCII as well by pressing D, I believe.
There we go.
Yeah. So there you can see the ASCII. It says clearly Neo Geo there, right? And several other things. It's you're watching the RAM, the ROM card there in ASCII.
That is very cool.
Yeah. Those are the registers from the BIOS. So you get the soft dips and everything exposed. This also varies in emulation, especially the register with LS PC mode. Those are not matched in emulation so far from what I've seen. And this could also be used to check the hardware, if communication between the registers is proper, and also if emulation is working fine. Of course, we turned on debug, so we're gonna see a bunch of things like this that are a bit more detailed. It's all right. It'll be removed now. There you go, and you only see the user information now.
That is very, very cool.
And video tests and everything else also has this kind of stuff. And here, as I tell you, you have the 304, 320, the video output, and the font. And there's also that menu with the test button. You can enter that if you go into OniBIOS, okay, and then use soft reboot system. But wait, you go to soft reboot, press it, and then press A, B, and C together. Okay. And oh, this was region setting. No, sorry. It was B, C, and D on boot. But you can change this and go back, or change to console mode to see what AES does.
I forgot
Whatever you want.
I forgot what was go back in this.
Oh no, just press A and it'll be arcade.
Oh,
Or press
okay,
B
okay.
and it'll be a console. It's fine. To exit this, you press C. Just press C and you go back. And again C. And what we wanted to enter, just press IBC and start. You go into UniBIOS, soft reboot, but then you press B, C, and D on boot. And there you go. You go to setting this up the soft dip. This is what the then you go to slot 1, the 240p test suite, and you have these options. You can turn off the demo on the boot screen with or without. You can change if you want the credits. You can change how 4-player controllers are set. The default is to follow DIP2, but you can force them. You can change the default resolution between 304 and 320. You can disable warnings if you are an expert user or have them enabled. And you can swap with MBC, ADPCMB. You can swap the stereo so it's properly set for MBS 1C, and you can change the default font. These are the kind of
really
things
cool.
that you can do. And this is saved in the BIOS, and the software will always follow this.
That's
There's
pretty
the
funny.
clock for the Neo Geo. So we're living in 2034. Yeah, with D you set it and you go out. I don't know. I don't think it has a battery. Maybe it doesn't, because the clock was just like going crazy. That usually happens without a battery.
Yeah.
With D.
I am hitting, unfortunately.
Press start.
Start? Nope.
No.
Oh, C. C got back that time.
C. Okay. Yeah, it has a serial number. That's why it wasn't matched. So you changed it to default theme font and without the title screen, right?
Yes. I just
And
changed all
that's
the
why
settings just so we could see a difference when it booted.
yeah, that's why the BIOS is not being identified because it has a serial number.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
what
what's
it
up,
says.
Master Safer and FBX? Yeah. OpenMVS is pretty cool, especially now that the HDMI option that was available for it. You know, I worked really hard on a video 2 years ago and never released it because those FPGA chips are still nearly impossible to get.
Yeah.
So I guess Fixels now, once his once his delays, which are not his fault, once his delays are worked out, I think that might actually end up being the one to get. It's more expensive, but yeah, I think you'll be interested in messing with that as well. But yeah, and so let me just so we skipped everything. Let me soft reboot again. So it went right to it. It didn't have any of the opening fun thing, no
Yeah.
hit credit, none of that stuff. So let me go back in and turn that back on because
Yeah, sure.
Because you like it.
yeah, very much. Setting off. Yep. Yes, demo with.
It's back
Is there
online.
anything else inside this that you would like me to show? Obviously, I don't want to do audio at the moment just for safety
Yeah.
reasons. But if not,
Yeah,
we
there's
could try to
a
update
bunch
it.
of audio stuff. But I'll just tell you that it has this custom driver that can play 6 voices at once, 80 PCM, and change also the sampling rate between specific ones. This is the audio sync test. This is useful for checking if the audio is in sync between audio and video, be it
Really,
with
really
your home
good for
theater
capture cards and streamers
or
and people who
capture
want to do
cards.
archival footage. This is so important.
And even in your home setup, this will tell you how much you need to slow down the sync from your home theater so that the video and audio are matched, because video also always has a delay, right, with digital processing, and the Neo Geo has none. This has been matched to 2 milliseconds in software, so we know that that's matched, and the help tells you that this also tests ADPCM A and ADPCM B. It has custom samples and sampling rates, and there it's 1 frame. Yeah, it was 1 frame. It is matched for 1 frame, and it's just 1 or 2 milliseconds off. So it's very precise.
Dan, this test looks like a Fairchild Channel F game.
Yeah, you just
It
watched that
does.
video, right, Dan?
Yeah, I don't want to leave it on the screen because I don't want to give anybody epilepsy for staring at that. But yeah, perfect. Um,
And this will checks stereo for every single channel and checks the full scale and different samples from each one of the ROMs for the JM 2610. So this was very interesting. It was the first time I did a full driver in assembly for one of this, and I'm quite proud of it, even if it's amateurish, but it works really well.
I think it's awesome. Do we want to try flashing the cart?
If you want to, yeah. This process won't be necessary for end users. The suite it's shipped with 1.0 version, but the flash card, the card that we are providing, for which I have a prototype here. This prototype is not rewritable. The ones that are in the retail version are rewritable, and they can be rewritten in case that for some reason something is added that's very important and we want to ship it to everyone that has it. There's an adapter for the open source card reader that can write these back and read them, of course. And the idea is to have this as a service in case this happens. We work hard so that everything in the final retail version doesn't have anything to be updated for, but in case it's needed, the idea is that you could send the card or build the adapter yourself and send the card as a service and pay for that, and they can be updated in case that's necessary.
All right. Well, let me plug my other camera back in and let me get this set up. So I just dumped the folder onto the SD card that you had sent me.
Oh, you overgrowth the files?
I just dumped it on the root. And are we
okay?
okay?
No,
So
it
I
needs
do
to
have
be in
something
the
to admit to you, my friend. Unfortunately, when this is what happens when my friends send me technical things. I want to take them apart. So our TBO sent me this beautiful cart reader with an MVS slot on it right here, and all I can think of is, oh, that's neat. Let me pull it apart and see how it works. See how it works with the other ones, and I couldn't get it back together properly. So yeah, I'm sorry.
No worries.
Oh, sorry. Video it was echoing through the camera. Well, that just made this even more epic. Yeah. So this is the open source cart reader with a very customized slot on it. I have it oriented correctly, right? I put it back the right way.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
The arrow pointing towards the LCD screen.
Yeah, that's right.
And then obviously you would want the arrows to match up like this as well, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Okay. And
The
on the
open source
side,
card
do I
reader
set
is
it to
called
3 or 5 volts?
5.
5 volts, powering it on.
But we need the files overwritten in the 240p test suite folder.
Hold on. Okay, that scared me. The USB hub that I recently reviewed that I love, it has a power switch for each USB port. And I thought I turned it on. I must have turned it off. So I was wondering why this wasn't powering on, but it is. So, um, so the Neo Geo menu. So did I have to delete the other things that were on there, not just add it to the root?
No, you have to overwrite the files of the ROMs on the Neo Geo folder. Right
Okay.
now, you would update it to the exact same version that you had.
All right. So let me throw this in my card reader. So the folder labeled 240p test or Neo Geo RC split?
Yeah, you
Which
have
one?
to unzip that and show and drop the whole files in the folder.
In the 240p test folder.
Yeah, it should have ROMs and they should be overwritten.
Okay. All right. So there's actually two folders on here. One folder that says 240p test and the other that says release or Neo Geo RC split.
Maybe that was created afterwards.
Okay.
It shouldn't be there.
So
Well,
then I
it
will
doesn't
delete
matter.
these. So
But
there's only one folder
yeah.
that's 240p test with the files that you sent. There's one file that says 240p config, and then there's the cart reader log, and that's it.
Okay, that inside that folder, the 240p
Yes.
folder, you should just unzip the files of that split zip.
Yep. That part is done. So let me
Good.
back in, turn it on, and
Now,
seeing that pretty clear in the video, right?
yeah.
Okay, let me.
And you go into cart, and then you go into write. Okay, and you select the folder. There you go,
And
and you
so
select
select
any of
any
those.
file.
Yeah, just click on that one.
So you have to flash each file individually.
No, it's gonna flash them all. It
Oh,
just selects the folder. It automatically detects which file is which and flashes them all one by one.
so to use this as a standard cart reader, all I would need to do is drop a different SD card in and use the cart reader software, correct?
No, not really.
Oh,
Thing is that Neo Geo is a bit more complicated than that. You could dump our custom card or cards that are this size of or configuration.
no, I
But any
apologize. I
cards.
meant with this handy thing that you sent me as well.
Oh yeah. You'd use that. Yes.
So I basically
Sorry.
would just plug that in instead and then load the standard software for the cart
Exactly.
reader on there.
And it's a completely standard card reader. Yes.
Okay.
This is I'm speaking on behalf of hers, but this is going to be released eventually as open source and open hardware. Thing is that reading and dumping Neo Geo cards, we would get unencrypted images, right? Because you can't get them encrypted, read them from a Neo Geo. And I believe that's good enough. It's taking too long. No. Hertz tells us that we are messing this up. What happened, Hertz? Oh, we had to erase it or update it, I guess. Yeah, turn it off.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not going to damage it, I believe.
You see, everybody, this is why I waited for after we did this beautiful demo in order to flash it, because I knew
Oh,
there was a chance I could screw something up. All
no
right, so
problem.
select cart and then go into erase, correct?
Let me check. Yeah, you're going to... No, not erase, because you're going to lose your serial number. And let's go back to press reset. First make a num and update the modem. It's at the end. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Tells it that the update mode is at the end. Okay, let me check what he means. Okay, just scroll down the all the way down. Okay, update. There's update.
It says can't open the
No.
file on SD.
Okay. You have since it's not being
Oh wait,
created,
no, wait,
press
hold on. It's doing it. I did
erase it.
not touch that. It's doing it by itself.
No, don't worry. I'm guessing it's gonna try to erase it. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it's erasing them and it's gonna be updating it.
Okay, cool.
It couldn't get a file for configuration, but it's gonna attempt it anyway. It's erasing each one of those, and it's gonna rewrite it. I bet hers is really nervous. Don't worry, man.
I'm so much less nervous because this is why when you sent me those files and you said, would you want to update it beforehand? No, no. With my luck, absolutely not. No. I have very bad luck with this stuff. We update afterwards, always.
Yeah, it's not a problem. It can be reversed, so no worries. It's quite safe. Of course, it's not intended yet for end user. Oh, it can't open files. Okay, because it couldn't modify them. Yeah, it's erased. So we are gonna write the files again. Okay.
Okay. So
No worries.
do I just leave it or
Press
do I
the
press a
button.
button?
Yeah, press the button. It wasn't configured in some way. Menu error, yeah.
Okay.
And now if we go to it doesn't have the config version, right? Just scroll all the way down. No, it doesn't. Okay, go up and cart and write. Okay. We're
Okay.
gonna rewrite it and then go to the folder. Yeah. There you go. And press that. And it's gonna be flashing the files. I hope everything goes fine. Yeah, all can be recovered right with the cart menu.
There
That's
you
what
go.
we're doing. There you go.
All right, it's
It's
working.
writing everything with version 1.0.
So once again, for anybody watching, anybody who happens to just be joining, you don't need to do this. All you need to
No,
do is
not at
buy the
all.
cart and you get the full version. But if somebody, and right now, right, I know our team is going to laugh when I say this, but right now, this test suite is absolutely as fully featured as you could possibly imagine. Now, we're also talking to freaking Artemio here, which means a year from now, he's probably going to come up with something that we haven't even thought existed yet. And if you do buy this cart and end up having a feature that you really want, you could send it back to Stone Age Gamer. If you have a cart reader, you could end up with something like this. So this is really just to guarantee that, when you
That's a
spend your
service.
money on this cart, if an amazing new feature comes out in a year, you don't have to buy a new cart. You don't have to, replace your PCBs. You could just flash it.
Yeah, and it will respect serial numbers. So no worry about that either way. It takes about a minute, minute and a half to
That's
flash
fine.
everything.
I'm enjoying hanging out. I'm not in any rush.
Yeah, but it always feels slower, right?
When people are
When
watching,
you're
oh,
doing it by
absolutely.
yourself, it's not a problem. But when you have an audience, it's like, hey, speed it up.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but it writes everything and then verifies everything. So there you go. Now you have 1.0.
Okay. Button.
Just turn it off, remove it, and there you go. No, there's no such Easter egg, Dan. It would have been fun, but there's not such Easter egg. Yeah. Now you have 1.0.
Actually, what was one of the changes that we had seen?
Oh, just go into the
EBU
first
color
menu.
bars, 107,
No,
75. Yeah,
no,
okay.
go back into the back, and go into ads. No, what was it? It was. Oh yeah, go into audio tests, and then before you. Now you have that.
Ah, okay. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just for fun, right? Just because we said we were going to do this, we're testing stuff. We have the 240p test suite cart. Let me just plug this very interesting super gun into composite and S video as well, just to see how it looks. And
Okay.
also because we've been demoing this in RGB the whole time, everything looked beautiful. So it's, it's kind of always, at least in my opinion, cool to show people the differences between that stuff. Because while composite on a CRT is absolutely amazing for video games and lots of other stuff, composite on a flat panel isn't. So see what we got here. I'm gonna need an S video cable. All right, I got an S video cable right here. S video is still excellent though. So
Yeah.
if you have a strong opinion here, but Artemio, feel free to jump in if you disagree. But if you have a console that is S video only and not composite video, or I mean not RGB at all, I would be perfectly happy with that using even the RetroTink 5X on a 4K monitor. However, if you have a console like the Super Nintendo where the only upgrade you need is a cable, go with RGB if you can. But I think S video is awesome even on flat panels, even seeing some of the differences. General Osimo, funny that you mentioned that. Wait, wrong plug. Um, any recommendations on composite and S video cables? So, uh, composite cables, one of the things that you can get are shielded subwoofer cables, shielded digital coax audio cables, and it's all just RCA. It's just a signal. It's not an impedance difference. It's just a standard cable, nothing else. But you tend to find those with better shielding because you're not just getting a composite video cable where shielding doesn't normally matter. But if you're doing something like video capture, you're taking your old VHS tapes, I would just, you know, composite video is never going to be perfect, but you don't want it to look bad because you bought the wrong cable. So that's kind of what I would recommend. S video, that's an interesting one. I've seen so many S video cables that look shielded but aren't, and when you plug them in, all of the color information bleeds through, and you're essentially looking at a composite video cable then. So that's kind of trickier. If you could find like Acoustic Research or Monster or some of the bigger branded cables, that might actually be, new old stock type of thing. That's probably the best bet. Wow, this is
There you go.
very dark, comparatively speaking.
Mhm.
However, unlike what we saw before, you could actually see all of the different steps now. While
Yes,
it is a
indeed.
tiny bit too dark, I take this over too bright. Interesting. This is a little
Hmm.
blurrier than I expected S video to be. So it's not the signal. This would be probably the way the circuit's built inside this console.
Yeah, but it's clear, right?
Yeah, and we have to do composite now too, just real quick, just to see. Um,
You wanted the video has the checkerboard.
the checkerboard's still fine with
It
S
results,
video,
yeah,
still totally
it
fine.
results really nice.
So let me grab composite, and then and we'll call it a day. I gotta grab my cable over here. I am in the midst of rewiring my entire setup because I was able to get a different Extron crosspoint switch that's much smaller and easier to deal with. So that's going to be a lot of fun, but as you'd imagine, that also means that it's going to take a full day, and I have a pile of cables, and yeah. So let me. I did just find my composite cable though. So I stole so many of these over the years. So I worked for a company, and occasionally we would have to get video cards in, and the video cards, we only really used VGA out, but they would come with pretty decent shielded composite video cables because the cards could also do composite out if you needed them. And I asked my boss, do we need these? And he goes, no, not at all. Why would we need those? So I just have piles of shielded composite cables that I took from that job 20 years ago.
By the way, Starius is bringing up an interesting point. He says, "I wish there was an AES version of this card. Those adapters cost more than the card does, but still, this is very cool. There's a open source adapter right now by Furtek, the Fusion adapter, and these are way cheaper than the ones that previously were out there. And obviously, this card is compatible with any of these or the previous ones." That have been sold for decades. We didn't do an AES version due to cost. Basically, we don't have the resources to do an AES version as well as an MBS version. It could be done, but the costs would be basically the same of an adapter, a Furtek adapter plus an MBS card, because all the parts that are in the Furtek adapter would be needed for to be inside of the card. Okay, so we would basically need to fuse these two and have an AES card. And in our numbers, that brings us to the same cost as an MBS card plus an adapter. So we simply couldn't do that right now.
Hmm. By the way, just to the person who asked before about cables, so if you look at the mountains in the background right now, this is S video, and I am going to switch over to composite,
There you go.
and now check out the weird shimmer in the mountains. That is, yeah, you could probably see it best there. So that is an example of composite video interference, but if you have a bad S video cable, it's going to look just like that. So, and then I'll just plug RGB in real quick just to see the final difference of that. So, is the Furtek adapter sold at a store somewhere? Is it in stock and ready to go at a store?
I believe Stonish had it. I don't know if they have right now.
They don't
Let me
now
check.
because I tried to link to it in their in the post that I made about
Yeah, but
this.
they did have one. It's a matter of getting it back on stock.
So you see the colors are all a little too bright and a little washed out, but you also see the great sharpness in the background. So very, very cool of Phone Dork to send this over. I also want to test its controller adapter. It has PlayStation and Saturn controller adapters. I'll take it apart, but this stream is about the amazing 240p test suite, not about that. So
Thank you. Could you please go to options just before to check what changed from the version you had?
yes.
Yeah, thick. Yeah, IRL limit. There you go. Thing is that you saw that 107 thing when you went back. It's because right now you can limit it here in options. Before you couldn't. and
cool.
it wasn't read from options. Now there's that IRE limit now that is always 100 IRE in the output when it's MVS. Okay, so that was because we updated and it was saved to the BIOS. So that is changed in the retail version.
Very cool.
Okay.
Well, this is absolutely awesome. I'm so happy to see this come to light. This is such an important tool, and to have a physical version is so important. And I know for a fact that people who own ROM carts, the DarkSoft, the NeoSD, whatever, that are still going to buy this because it's just a dedicated tool. Happens to come in a really beautiful case that looks amazing next to your AES games, but this is such an important tool, and it's this is a pretty big deal for especially people who own MVS, excuse me, MVS arcade machines. There's just having a tool like this to tweak stuff and double check things. And anybody who repairs consoles, I mean, this is a big deal. I know Avram's probably already ordered his right now. The person, one of the creators of the Open MVS project, because he makes those for people pre-made, and just that RAM test alone probably is going to save Avram a day of his life per year and just testing consoles.
And yeah, Firebrand, the RGB was high. We did point it out that it was burned on the right side. We will lose in detail. And as pointed earlier, AES users get a specific version for AES. You can just browse it if you want to, Bob. Just press ABC and start and go into UniBIOS. Because we can force MBS to be AES. Go into software boot system and then press ABC immediately. And then go into BIOS region and select console AES. Yeah, exactly. Just press C to exit, and we'll be boot in AES mode. Okay.
So
As
there's
you can
no
see, it
insert
has
coin in
it's point
AES
here.
mode. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You press start, and it tells you this is an MBS that's posing as an AES. Okay. Down in the bottom.
Oh yeah.
It
Okay.
detects that.
MVS is an AES. All right. I didn't notice that until you pointed that out. That's cool.
Yeah, and all the options and patterns change. As you can see, it says AES everywhere, and patterns are now 100 IRE, and that kind of thing. That's all changed. Okay, it's basically the same. It just changes the patterns when they are needed. This one has 107 because we have the forced AES setting, right?
Interesting. Dan, also, if you pick AES mode and US region on the 240 test suite, all the blood from Katrina's dog turns green. That's funny.
Yeah, good joke, Dan. You're a Snatcher fan.
Hey,
Thank you very
Brian, glad
much,
you
Night
ordered one. Which
Owl.
color did you get? Which color? I'm always interested to see what colors people get because depending on the console and depending on what my main use is, I like different colors. So if it's something that's going to be displayed, I like something flashy. But if I want it to look like an original console or original cartridge, I'll pick a different one. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, and I don't know how many cards of each color they made. That will be interesting.
Well, I think this is basically going to sum it
Yeah,
all up. I mean, thank you, Artemio,
yeah,
for
we're done.
everything, for your work, for spending your time doing this. Thanks to Dustin as well, who's not here, but shout out to
Yeah,
Dustin for working on this. I gotta get my
yes, indeed.
AES back from him at some point.
No, thank you very much, Bob. Thanks to everyone that made this possible. Hertz, Stonish Gamer, Rolando, Jose Cruz, Mobius Trip Tech, and El Diablo, everyone. Keith, of course, Dan. There's Pepe
And
who
Pepe
made
as
the
well, who
art.
just joined. Hello, thank you again for your beautiful artwork for this. This
Oh,
looks
there's
cool as
Pepe.
hell.
And you can check out, in the credits section,
Hmm.
I changed the background for this version in particular. It has
Ah,
the line art of the original version
that
of
is
the
really cool.
illustrations. Yeah, it's specific to this version,
Very,
right?
very cool. Well, this was awesome. Thank you again, everybody. Thanks to Artemio. Thanks to Stone Age Gamer for taking a risk on this. Anything Neo Geo
Yeah,
based is
thank
always
you
a
very
risk. You
much.
never know if people are actually going to buy it, but I hope people do because this thing's awesome. And looks like Brian got a red one. Good choice. Awesome. Well, thanks
Awesome.
everybody,
Thank you very
and
much.
I will see you all very soon.
Take care. Thank you.